Olga will manage that, so she will break in or collect the questions for appropriate time. And we will be recording the session in order to share it with other users. So Joni, will you start recording now?
Yes, I've started the recordings.
Okay, thank you. So when we were thinking about a session on blended learning, which is really interesting. So first, maybe a short introduction in blended learning. So really simple, blended learning is a mix between e-learning and classroom training. And classroom training is sort of stretching up these days. So that can also be a face-to-face meeting, which is online or in a classroom. But it's like an instructor-led training in combination with e-learning. So that is what blended learning is. And there's a whole bunch of theories to explore there and to explain. But we know we have a couple of customers that are using a blended learning approach and using Easygenerator. So we thought it would be much more appropriate to ask them to share their experience and their best practices. So we found Eva Eriksson from Electrolux and Priscilla Martin from LECOM willing to share their experience. So today the presentation will be mainly driven by them. So I will do a short introduction, then hand over to them, and we'll wrap up with some questions and answers. For that, we have the Easygenerator team next to Eva and Priscilla. But the Easygenerator team today is 3 people that we have. So we have from India, Videhi joining, and she's an e-learning specialist working with Easygenerator on the product team and also on the content creation team. So we write a lot of articles together. From the Netherlands, we have Joni. She's head of our customer success team and responsible for making sure that all our customers are happy. And from America, we have Olga, who is heading up the customer support team and make sure that all the questions are answered through Intercom. So that is our team. So let's start with Eva. So Eva, are you online?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Okay, so I will stop sharing my screen so then you can start sharing your screen.
Yes.
And you can take over from there.
Thank you so much, Kasper. Can you see my screen?
We can see your screen. Yes, perfect.
All right. Thank you for having me here. I'm Eva Eriksson, so I'm going to share a little bit about our blended learning approach in Electrolux. And I'm going to give you a brief introduction of myself and Electrolux, and then also my team, and a bit about our training scope and the blended learning approach that we have been taking then, and which tools that we are using, and what to think about when introducing a blended learning approach from our experience. So this is me. I'm a training operations manager in Electrolux in the business area Europe for sales and service. And I'm working for Electrolux since 2004. And I started in Italy, actually, and then moved to Brussels and been working in retail and trade marketing. And in 2012, I moved back to Sweden and I joined the training team in 2015. And when I'm not working within the training, I am a mother of a 5-year-old, having my hands full. So a little bit about Electrolux. It was founded in Sweden in 1919. So actually this year we are celebrating 100 years anniversary. So we have a lot of nice activities going on in the company. It's about 55,000 employees in Electrolux across the globe. And we have, apart from Electrolux, brands like AEG, Anova, Frigidaire, Westinghouse, and Zanussi, and some other local brands. And I assume that you have heard about some of them at least. And we sell more than 60 million household and professional products in more than 150 markets. And we're organized into 5 different business areas. So I'm working in the European one, and then we have other 3 consumer-focused business areas and 1 then global area. And we want to offer really best-in-class consumer experience. So Electrolux shapes living for the better by reinventing taste, care, and well-being experiences, making life more enjoyable and sustainable for millions of people. And that is what Electrolux stands for. And this is my fantastic team, which is headed by Cecilia. I'm pointing at her here. And we have about 4 master trainers that are producing trainings to all 80 trainers across Europe. And then we also have our learning management systems, which requires a couple of admins and also then 2 IT persons that are working for us with the learning management system. And the training scope that we train our customers. So these are people working in store, selling our products to end consumers. And then we also have our service partners. And the service partners are service technicians that are repairing our products in case they would break, which they unfortunately do sometimes. And then we are also training our employees within sales, trade marketing, and consumer and customer service. So the blended learning approach that we've been taking. So 1.5 years ago, we did more or less 100% face-to-face training only. And then we decided to move into more digital approach or blended learning approach. So we do it in a couple of different ways, mainly. And one is to prepare people before they join the face-to-face training. So for example, service technicians, we prepare them before they come to the face-to-face training so that they more or less have the same level of knowledge. So there is a certain amount of trainings that they have to go through before they join. And then we also use it as repetition, especially for our customers. Our boss is always saying that you have to repeat the message 9 times to really get it to stick into people's long-term memory. So we believe that we can never repeat it enough. So that's what we are also doing then online with the digital training. And we use a learning management system to distribute digital training, or we provide our customers with their own with our trainings to their own learning management system. And in order to be able to do this, we need, of course, tools to build courses. And I have a slide showing what tools that we are using. One of the most important, well, actually the most important tool that we are using is Easygenerator, and it has had really a great success in our company. And then we also have a Dream Broker, which is a tool where we can easily edit videos. And we have to think about our trainers. There are 80 trainers producing content within our organization, and they are not experts on creating e-learning, so they really needed to have a tool which is easy to use. So that's where Easygenerator is playing a really important part, as well as Dream Broker. And then we are also going to have Adobe Connect for virtual classroom training. We have today only Blue Jeans, which is more like webinars, but then we want to be a little bit more interactive with our audience. So that's something which is coming. And we are using Cornerstone On Demand as learning management system. With help of these tools, we have been able to reach a lot of more customers. And we managed to deliver our training with a much higher speed. So we are not replacing the face-to-face training, but we are just adding on online learning. So also to enable retention, and it's in a really effortless way, personalized. We can push them out whenever we want, and we make it modular and gamified. So what to think about when introducing a blended learning approach? At least from our point of view, we really need to have a stable learning management system. We have approximately 40,000 stores within the system. And I think we are about almost 10,000 service technicians that needs to have access. So it's a lot of administration behind it. And of course, then we need tools to make it easy to localize into different languages. We have more than 30 languages that we need to consider. And in the beginning, we were actually using an agency to produce the e-learning courses, but then we realized it's super expensive to translate all of them, and the process to get them out on a learning management system is so long because it has to be approved by our trainers from product marketing and so on, and it just takes far too much time. So by having these good tools, we can save a lot of cost and time, and we can update it continuously, and that's something which is takes much longer if you just have an agency working on the courses. And then also it's so important for us to have a simple review process, because there are different teams that need to approve the content. So that's also something I believe is super important to think about. And then, as I previously said, we were mainly face-to-face. We had mainly face-to-face training. So going from having 80 trainers that are just doing face-to-face training to take this blended approach and introducing digital learning, it's not that easy. It's a mindset that needs to be changed. So we still have actually a lot of inspirational sessions. So we invite our like Dream Broker and Easygenerator to talk to them on a monthly basis, just to give them some inspiration and make it more fun. And also the onboarding sessions that we had with the Easygenerator has been really important, as well as the Q&A sessions, because then they can real life ask questions about the tools. So that's also playing an important role. And I think also to think about the learner's journey, to make it rewarding, to make it fun, to make sure that the courses are built in a way that it's easy for them to learn, and make it with some gamification. We believe it's also crucial. And this is actually what I wanted to share with you. I don't know if there are any questions, Kasper. I can't hear you.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, I do have a couple of questions listening to your story. So the first thing is that you explained that you are using blended learning approach both for the preparation of courses and after that. So if you are giving people a course to prepare for a face-to-face session, so how long in advance will you give them the course? Is it a day, a week?
Well, I think that's that can differ actually. I think we try not to give the courses too long before we have the face-to-face session, because then they tend to forget. So it should be quite close to the face-to-face training, but then they also need. They are the ones deciding when they want to do the training. So we need to give them some time to organize themselves.
Okay, and so do you use that also as a selection criteria? I know that some customers are demanding from people that they did do the courses, and that they, for example, have to do an assessment, and they have to achieve at least a certain mark before they're allowed to join the training. Do you think like that?
Yeah, that can be, and I think that's mainly for the service technicians, because they are really working for us. So we can force them in a different way to do the training, but then when it comes to the customers, that is not that easy. So that's also important for us to make it fun. But then, of course, we are also, having they have to do a couple of trainings a year, and it's included in the contract. So they are being pushed also from their headquarters.
Okay, and that way you sort of make sure that everybody's on the same level of knowledge when you start a course, so that's clear. You also talked about that you are using it afterwards, so to beat the forgetting curve, you said, I think that you can't repeat it enough, so the more often you repeat it, the higher the chance of retention is. But what is your best practice? Do you repeat things like 1 time, 2 times? Do you repeat it in the same form, or do you change form? So can you explain a bit how you do that?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that we have not been launching it for a long time. So maybe if you ask me in a year, let's see how it works. But of course, we are trying really to push out the courses as much as we can. I mean, it's really difficult to force them to take the courses. So yeah, it's a little bit hard for me to say at this moment.
Okay, you're still discovering what is the best way to do that.
It's been a learning a journey, I can tell you.
Okay. Okay, interesting. And so the last question I have is, you talked about that it's a culture change, a mind shift you have to prepare, and you also listed the things that you're doing. Changing a culture is hard and it takes time.
Yes.
So where are you in the process, or do you think you are completed, or are you halfway? So can you help explain a bit to us where you are?
Well, I can tell you, a year and a half ago, I think we met 80 trainers that were quite scared when we introduced this new approach. But we've been really surprised by people that we thought would really not manage, to switch this mindset. And we can see that the people are really think it's fun. It's a little bit different what they are used to. But if I should put it on a scale, maybe we are at 70%. There's still some work to be done, to be honest.
Okay, that's helpful. And so I can also imagine that from the 80 trainers, a couple of them really like it, a couple of them are sort of okay with it, but maybe a few of them are really against it and they refuse to cooperate. Do you have problems with that?
Yeah, but we had problems, I can tell you. But what was really nice is that we could really see the people that were most against it. They switched, and now they are really the ones that we see as the best that are driving the digital training, which is really nice to see. Okay,
cool. Okay, well, thank you for the information. Olga, any questions from other people on the presentation of Eva?
I don't see any yet, but I have a question from my side, if I may.
Of course, yes, go ahead.
Thank you. My question is, how do you measure the effectiveness of this approach? Like, how do you know that it works, actually?
That's a good question, actually, and it's actually a project that we are working on right now. We work with the ClickSense. So what we are doing now is because in our learning and management system, we don't have a good way of pulling reports. So now we are building a lot of dashboards. So we're gonna get data from throughout the business. So we're gonna check really the store data and compare it then with how much training that we've been doing. So we are running a couple of pilots now in the coming months to see really the effect on it.
Okay. Yeah, that is an interesting question. So,
but we are pretty sure. I mean that it's not that we are sure that this is the right way to go. I mean, training. I mean, who doesn't need that?
Okay, so the results that you track for blended learning, are the results in the dashboards you're talking about? Are they for both the face-to-face sessions and for the online sessions combined?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and you create it by yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions, Olga?
No questions. I just see two from the people who joined a bit later. So no, we will record this session and share it with you afterwards.
Yes, so that's for Alison and Dan. Welcome. Let's continue. Okay, so thank you. Can you, Eva, please stop sharing your screen?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. So then we move to the second part, and that is Priscilla of LECOM. So Priscilla, hope you are online and can hear me.
Yes, I am.
Hi, good morning to you, because you're in the States.
Yes, we are.
Can you share your screen, and you will probably introduce yourself further?
Okay,
perfect.
see my screen? Okay.
Yeah.
So I am from LECOM, and we are a professional medical school that opened in 1992, with the pharmacy school opening in 2002. And our DE was our first distance education pathway that opened in 2014, with the first class graduating in 2018. The second class will be graduating next weekend. So we're kind of excited about that. And what we're going to be discussing is how we use blended learning and how it's used at LECOM School of Pharmacy. So what we do is both our distance education and our brick and mortar both use Easygenerator. Although the distance education probably uses it a bit more than the brick and mortar, but they both do use it. So in distance education, this is what you're going to see. So we use many modalities to teach our students. First off, we use Genzabar, which is our learning support management system. We use Zoom for our sync sessions. This is where we do our face-to-face teaching. We use Easygenerator for all our lectures. And then we use ExamSoft to test our students to make sure that they know the material. And we use Examity, and that's how we proctor the students within taking the exams. So when they go into Easygenerator, they'll start a course. And we like to start with the objectives and telling them what they're going to learn. So when they open it up, this is the first thing they'll see. Then they'll click next. And then if there's a task at hand or any formulas, things like that, they'll get to this. And then you can start asking questions. And I'm just going to skip this. And then this is where we give some videos too. So the professor can take a video discussing a certain problem, discussing a certain theory, whatever he wants to really get his point across, he or she can use a video. He can also explain better using words rather than sitting here trying to talk. And then we always try to put questions in to make sure that the students are grasping what we're trying to teach. They have to pass these, but they're given a certain number of times before they will have to go back and restart everything again. Here's another video. So I'm going to sort of stop there because that sort of shows you what we do with distance education. This is how we really get our students to become familiar with what we're trying to teach. And then what we do is later in the week, we will have a Zoom session where we will discuss some of the topics that we discussed in the Easygenerator. So it will be the face-to-face time.
Can I ask a short question, Priscilla?
Yes, go ahead.
So if I understand it correctly, you have two separate learning tracks. So the online track that you just showed is completely online, which is a mix between e-learning and Zoom sessions.
Yes.
And you have the brick and mortar is like more the old school classroom, which is supported by Easygenerator. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
So next we're going to go to the brick and mortar, and that is sort of a flipped classroom approach. So we use the same modalities that we use with the distance education. So we use Genzabar, which is our learning management support. We use Zoom, we use Easygenerator, and we use ExamSoft. So with the Easygenerator, what we do is we flip the classroom. So by definition, a flipped classroom is an instructional strategy and a type of blending learning that reverses the traditional learning environment by delivering instructional content, often online, outside of the classroom. It moves activities, including those that may have traditionally been considered homework, into the classroom. So that's one way that we use Easygenerator to flip the classroom. So we could have the students be watching the content that we're trying to teach in the classroom, they can watch it at home. So then when we get into the classroom, we can break into sessions and discuss what we learned, what we want to get more from, what the nuts and bolts of it all was about. Or we can do scenarios where she can give different types of learning scenarios where you have this case, you have this case, and you have this case, and everybody has to solve the case, and then they present it at the end. So what I'm going to show you is, this is one...
Before you do, can I just break in? Because I think I'm not 100% certain everybody completely gets the flipped classroom model. So, okay. Because if I had to put it in words, and please correct me if you think I'm wrong, but the old model is that you have your the knowledge transfer is done in the classroom, and then you get your homework assignments to see if you got it. You get assignment, you have to answer it. The problem there is, if you get stuck with your answering the questions, the teacher is not there to help you out. So in the classroom, you give the information beforehand to the students, so the knowledge transfer is done online. And a big advantage is that the teacher doesn't have to transfer knowledge, but can do much more, because what you basically are doing is more share the experience that you have, how you can actually use the information in practical situations. We're talking about scenarios, for example. So you use the teacher in a really different way. Is that also how it works with you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I hope if it's not clear, please ask any questions in the chat. But yeah, just want to make sure that everybody understands that. Okay, thank you. Please continue. Yep,
that's fine. So what this professor did is she broke it down into questions. So she broke the class into 5-6 sections, and she gave each section, each group, a question, and they had to figure out the answer. And then once they figured out the answer, they re-met as the entire class re-met. Then she had the group come up, tell the rest of the class the answer that they chose, and if they got it correct. If they didn't, the teacher then explained why they missed it and helped them to figure out how not to miss any more. So I hope that makes sense. But
it does for me.
So I'm just going to sort of show you some of how she did it. Like this is called a hotspot question. And what you do is you have to figure out where the sodium is reabsorbed. So I'm just going to say right there, I'll submit, and I didn't get it right. So we'll try again, and we'll say right there. And I got it right this time. So she doesn't give them those answers to start with. It's just the way that I had it so that I could show you how it works. She just has them answer the question, and then she re-meets with everybody as a group, and they discuss how they did.
Is it fair to say you sort of try to trick them in making errors so you can have a discussion on that, or is that not the case?
I would do that. I don't know if that's what our faculty do.
Okay.
So next, I'd like to just touch on curriculum. We currently have 3 different types of curriculum. We have pathways. We have our accelerated pathway, which is taught here in Erie, which is taking a 4-year program and condensing it into 3 years. We have our traditional pathway, which is typically done in 4 years, which is taught in Florida. And then we have our distance education pathway, which is taught following the Florida pathway, and they will graduate with Florida, not with Erie. So we gave our 400 students a Survey Monkey to sort of see how they liked using Easygenerator within our first year of incorporating it. And these are some of the responses we got.
So you basically asked them how much they liked each question type in the e-learning. Is that correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you.
And you can see they really did seem to like it. So our feedback is coming back very good. Some of our faculty are not using it the way that we want them to. So I'm going to meet with all the faculty and sort of give them stricter guidelines to follow in order to meet the needs of our students. With that in mind, we have had a couple of obstacles, not many, but we're working to overcome them. The biggest one for DE is they're not conforming to the way that we wanted Easygenerator to be conformed to. They're taking their MP4s, putting it into Easygenerator, saying watch it, they're calling it a day. We didn't want Easygenerator to work that way. We wanted new content, new material, questions, answers. We want the students to feel that they really get the material. That was sort of our big play with that. So I've got to work with some of the faculty to get them a little bit more on board. But overall, the faculty seem to really enjoy working with it. So I will say that we're coming along. As far as the brick and mortar, it's just trying to get everybody on the same page with flipping a classroom. Some professors like to flip the classrooms, some don't. So it's just trying to get everybody to flip the classroom. Other than that, those are probably the two biggest issues that we're trying to overcome right now. There aren't many, but those are the two biggest ones that we're trying to overcome.
So we have some experience, especially with the first one. So what you describe for your distant education is that they love putting in the videos that they already have or are easy to make as learning material. We see the same with PowerPoints, where people had PowerPoints from old face-to-face presentations, and they sort of put them in an e-learning environment and then think they're done. What we found is what is helpful is sort of to guide them. We have a 3-step process there. So step 1 is let them design learning objectives so they really know what the learning objective is. It's not about just transferring the information, but really what is the learning objective of the chapter or the course. And step 2 is then ask them to come up with the questions that will help them evaluate those learning objectives if people actually reach those goals. And by that, they get into a much more educational approach of the information. And then the third step, if they have sort of the assessment, then ask them to just add content, but only the content. So that can be a video or Easygenerator content or whatever, that helps them answer the questions. And everything that is not connected to questions should not be in. If you do that, your courses will be smaller, and it's a way to move more to e-learning approach instead of video or PowerPoint.
That is correct. Yeah. That's the way we want it.
Do you think that would work for you?
Yes, and that's what we ideally had hoped that all of our professors would be doing, but it's a slow process.
Okay. So, okay, thank you for that.
And I'm done with mine unless there are any questions that anybody would like to ask Olga.
I had a couple, but I just interrupted you and asked them already, so I don't have any extra questions. So, Olga, do you have any questions from the audience that you can see?
Yeah, we actually do. Priscilla, can you please repeat once again the tools that you're using for your online learning?
So we use Genzabar, which is our learning management system.
Okay.
We use Zoom.
Okay.
We use Easygenerator.
Mm-hmm.
ExamSoft, that's our testing platform. And Examity, they are the proctors that will go in and sit and watch our students while they're taking, excuse me, I'm sorry, taking their exam.
Okay, thank you. I'm putting them in the chat so that everyone can see them. And also you mentioned the SurveyMonkey, right?
The SurveyMonkey 2 is, that's where we get our information back from the students in regards to the surveys that we send out. How was the course, things like that. So yes, we do use SurveyMonkeys, and that's not one that we readily use, but it is one that we use.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, I have a couple of other questions, so more in general. So thanks, Priscilla, for sharing the information.
You're welcome.
So you can, by the way, stop sharing your screen if you want, and I will take it over again.
Stop. There you go.
Thank you. So let me share my screen here. Okay, so if you have more questions, please let us know. I have a question, what's more in general, in the, we just spoke about it briefly with Priscilla, that you need to track and trace the information. Olga asked that question, and you are building now a sort of dashboard for that. So I want to ask that to Videy. So can you, do you have a bit of more experience on how to track and trace that information? Do you have any suggestions on how to do that, where to go?
Hi, thanks Kasper, thanks for the question. So in my observation, probably I'll start off with generally telling the difference between measuring or tracking blended learning and tracking the traditional approach. So in the traditional approach, it could be tracking 1 or 2 events, while in contrast for a blended learning program, learners may be picking and choosing a variety of activities. So it's a huge challenge usually, and there are tools that are doing it. However, in my observation and the research, what I suggest is we should have a clarity in what the organizations want in order to accomplish, okay, before adopting it in the first place. Okay, there are L&D professionals employing a variety of techniques, including, people collect data, they don't collect data, or integrating it with the clear key performance indicators, and then they tie to automated data collection. However, integration with XAPI can be a very smart thing to do these days. But I suggest to have some clarity on, okay, what do we really want to interpret out of the data? How do we want to make some inferences in order to track the performance that is needed? So that would be my recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so on today you mentioned XAPI, so I'm not sure if everybody knows that. So I think most of you know that you can run courses in a learning management system, and that the old system of uploading a package there, so make sure that it runs, but also that it can report the results, is called SCORM. But it's really old. It's the latest version dates back from 2004. And we have a new way of doing that. It's called XAPI. It's a lot more flexible, I have to say, and more details as well. And maybe for you to know, if you are tracking and tracing results and you don't want to choose between like a learning management system and a new approach, an Easygenerator course can do both at the same time. So if you have like a tool like Cornerstone that we thought, which runs SCORM packages. You can run a SCORM package, but and the Easygenerator course can report to that learning management system in the old school SCORM way. But at the same time, so simultaneously, you can also start reporting in XAPI format. So I think that if you are doing blended learning, you probably need much more flexible information. That way, it makes it really safe because you have your information in your learning management system, but at the same time, you can sort of experiment with the XAPI information, and you're sure you have your bottom line, but maybe you can do way more. So I think that is a good answer, Videy. Thank you for that. And while we're have you open, so Olga mentioned or asked about the tools that are being used. We also saw that both with Electrolux and with LECOM. So there's like a variety of tools. Do you have maybe an observation on that? What kind of platforms can you use for blended learning, for creating and delivering it?
Yeah, sure. So as the name suggests, Kasper, blended learning, it cannot be achieved through a single tool. So neither a single authoring tool nor an LMS will do the job. It has to go in an optimal blend. And in the research, we noted that commonly used tools include authoring tools. LXPs these days are becoming very popular. Social learning platforms are being integrated. Internal social networks are on the rise. to support collaboration. And then the external content platforms like YouTube, Chorus, Vimeos are also coming in. So it's on the the onus is on the learning professionals to merge them together in a meaningful way. I guess that will I think that will be the answer, as opposed to just giving a single platform.
Okay, thank you. So Olga, did any questions come in while we were talking with Viday?
No new questions.
Okay, so then I think we will wrap it up. So special big thanks to both Eva and Priscilla for sharing their knowledge and taking the time to prepare and present for us. So we really appreciate that. Thank you very much. And then we'll be back probably in a month or so with the next session. So thank you all and have a great day. Goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Very well done. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Oh, by the way, before you all log off, I forget you also get an email with a survey, so please answer that. Sorry, Yoni, I have to do that. I always forget.
Thanks, Kasper.
No worries. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.